The first thing about mindfulness, as you've heard over these days, is it is a quality of wakefulness or presence of, Thich Nhat Hanh's phrase for it is deep listening. An attention that is neither judgmental nor looking for something to be different, but rather resting in an open heart and an open mind and noticing what is true here and now. Before I say anything more about mindfulness, I think we should just work together to create more of the field of mindful attention as we come from lunch and wandering around and so forth, all kind of regather together. So I'd like us to do a very simple chant, and then from this chant, we'll sit for a few minutes, and with a few words perhaps, and let yourself begin to be present and mindful of this moment's experience. So the chant is this. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a text called the Teaching of Perfect Wisdom in 80,000 verses. This is an amazing text that's then summarized in 8,000 verses and in 800 verses. Unfortunately, for our sake this afternoon, it's also summarized in one syllable. And the reason that this one syllable is the summary of perfect wisdom is it's considered in Sanskrit to be the first and the last syllable of life, but more importantly, it's the syllable, the expression of letting go. It's the seed syllable ah. So what I'd like us to do together is to sing ah for a bit, and as you do, feel what wants to be let go of. You know, thoughts, plans, energy in your body, whatever it is. And then after the ah, we'll sit in the silence that follows it. O nobly born, begin the Buddhist texts. O you who are the sons and daughters of the awakened ones, do not forget who you really are. Do not forget the true nature that was born into this body, into this incarnation. Do not forget who you are. And so Thich Nhat Hanh's story is really an invitation for us to remember something that's bigger than our personal biography or the kind of struggles that we have in our life. And if we understand this, mindfulness is called the gateway to the deathless. If we understand this, then we can really be there for another human being or the dilemmas of the world in a free and open-hearted and truly helpful way. Because when we look at this human life, I mean, I don't know how you got in there, and you don't either, right? But it's kind of strange. Here we are in these physical animal bodies, right? With a hole at one end into which we regularly stuff dead plants and animals, right? And grind them up with these bones that hang down and glug them through the tube. You just did that upstairs, right? And, you know, we ambulate in these particular bodies by falling one direction and catching ourselves. Then we fall the other way. If somebody watched the ambulation of bipeds, it's really bizarre. It is. And then, you know, our ears, these things, mine stick out quite prominently. I mean, but they're really kind of strange in the eyeballs. I mean, look at that, you know. Where did that come from? And we see stuff, you know, and I can say things, I can say, you know, imagine a blue whale or a pink elephant, and the words come out of this hole and they vibrate in the air and they touch, you know, the little drum in your ear and the sodium-potassium balance, and the nerve goes to the hearing parts of your brain and you go, blue whale. Wow. Nobody understands that. Nobody. It is so mysterious to be alive. And if that becomes the ground of our work together, that is what is a deep meaning of mindfulness, the meaning of mystery itself. Then the heart opens, because it's us, it's family, and the mind gets clear. Compassion is a part of our nature. It is born into us. And when the layers that keep us from connecting drop away, we see one another with the eyes of compassion. Sufis put it this way. They say, overcome any bitterness because you are not up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. Like the mother of the world, you are part of the heart, who carries the world in her heart. You are part of the heart of the world. And you are each endowed with a certain measure of cosmic pain. Everyone. You are called upon to carry it in compassion instead of self-pity. So this is the second principle, a psychology of compassion. And there's many more things that we'll say about it. And it's wired into us. And I work in San Quentin prison, for example, and I'll tell you, some of the people that I work with there who've been there a long time and who've done their inner work are as compassionate and heartfelt as anybody else I've ever met anywhere. So it's not exclusive to anyone. Third principle, big one, shift of identity. That in a wise psychology, we have to understand who we are beyond our biography. You have to tend to your biography. But if you think you're just your personal history, you are in trouble. At least if your personal history is anything like mine, you know. And we think, okay, the whole thing is about self-improvement. I go to the gym, I do my therapy, you know, I jog, I eat right, and so forth, and I'll become, you know, some wise person or something like that. But, you know, then you have to deal with your personality. And personalities are like bodies, you know. You get one when you come in to this incarnation. I'll give you a body, and here, try that personality, you know. And they look best in sort of medium light at not too close a distance, you know. You know how that is, bodies and personalities. It's just the way that it is. So we can identify with the personality. You know, this is who I am. The small sense of self, it's called in Buddhism. Sometimes it's called the body of fear. There was a cartoon by Pfeiffer years ago. It showed a man standing there saying, I inherited my father's way of walking and my father's ideas and attitudes about things, you know, and my father's abilities to analyze and consider, and my father's tastes, and my mother's contempt for my father. Right?